Okay, our next speaker was a 3-time national champion windsurfer. He was on the Olympic team for the United States as a windsurfer, and he, winners win. He's an athlete. He's a player. He went on to own all or part of about 30 Keller Williams franchises. At one time, he was pretty much one of the largest franchise owners in America for Keller Williams. I met him 23 years ago when he started recruiting me for Keller Williams, and we've been friends ever since. He joined EXP and just killed it because that's what he does. Help me welcome one of my dearest friends in the world, Don Yoakum, to the stage, everybody.
Isn't it awesome when somebody sees you even better than you are? Let that be a leadership lesson from Brent Gove. Okay, so today I'm going to be speaking to you about becoming a leader of leaders. I will do that in the context of the EXP platform, building a sales organization on the EXP platform, which I consider to be a generational business opportunity. And I feel somewhat qualified to be able to speak on that because I realized in preparation for this talk today that I've been building companies for 40 years. At 19 years old, I was the CEO of a company with 31 employees. It was a great experience, got a lot of learning, made a little bit of money. I'm going to talk to you about my journey as it began in real estate. First as a top producer. My first full year in real estate was 1990, 34 years ago. I was a top producer with RE/MAX. My first full year in the business, I did close 51 deals. I'm a little embarrassed to say that I thought I was pretty hot stuff for having done that. In 2000, I became a team leader with Keller Williams, the Roseville Market Center, and I took that office on with 10 agents. We built it to 184 in 27 months. In that time, I attracted 3 of what became 5 of the top agents in Keller Williams' system. Numero uno, Mr. Tom Daves, 7 times the #1 KW agent in the world. Very honored to be in business with you, my friend. After replacing myself, I had my first entree into becoming a leader of leaders. Of course, this being in the KW system. Myself and my business partners went on to build 9 more Keller Williams franchises. I did 2, actually, with the GOAT himself, Gene Frederick. We built Cupertino and Palo Alto together. And actually, Jenna Cadell was a partner of ours. It was a magnificent experience. Actually, at one point, my market centers were producing 60% of the franchise royalty in Northern California and Hawaii. Yet I was never given a regional ownership opportunity, which I believe is the equivalent of what you have here at EXP. You have the ability to revenue share much like someone would have owning an entire region. So I want to talk to you about what I feel that it took me to achieve at each of these levels. To be a top producer, you got to show up, you got to do the work. You don't have to be like Tom Daves and eat frogs for breakfast, but you do got to show up, be consistent, and do the work. You want to model success. You want to look to people that have gone before you. See if you can perhaps avoid a few of the potholes that they fell into. And no matter how talented you are, no matter how hard you work, you're going to get knocked down, and you're going to need to get back up, and you're going to need to persist. To be a leader, you're going to need to learn the ability to attract and retain talent. When you do that, you will have received what I believe to be the master skill of building a business. And to be a leader of leaders, you not only have to have the influence to attract leaders, but you're going to have an opportunity big enough for them to have the success that they desire. The good news is that this opportunity at EXP is more than big enough for anyone in the real estate industry. I've never seen anything like it. Now, that all sounds really great. this point, you're probably thinking, man, that guy's he's a winner. He's invincible. And if that's what you're thinking, you'd be wrong, because that's not where my Keller Williams story ended. I'm not going to share a slide with you on it, but if I did, it would probably look more like the Valley of Despair. You see, in 2006, myself and a number of other people put together quite a bit of capital, and we bought 21 market centers. Now, Gino would tell you, in business, timing is important. In this particular instance, our timing was almost perfectly wrong. Okay? The next 4 years were gut-wrenching. And I want to take you to, does anybody remember when Shearson Lehman went down? Okay? The height of the great financial crisis. Well, at the time, I was living in Colorado in a gated community, neighbors with Dave Leniger, founder of Remax, thinking I was all the stuff. However, at this point, we had sold Aston Martin. And when Shearson went down, I had 2 mortgage companies that we had MSA relationships with in 21 market centers, and they went BK on us, bouncing $85,000 in checks. That was a monthly recurring income. And during that time, that was not going to be replaced. So I felt like I had an obligation to my wife to share with her when she woke up after my sleepless night. I told her, sweetie, I think you should know that in light of what's going on, I think we may lose everything. Okay, now, you know what she did? She looked at me and she said, with a really big smile, "You're not going to lose me. I'm going to be here." What she did in that moment was give me permission to fail. Okay? What she also did was said, "Get your ass out of bed and do what you've got to do to take care of our family." And I did. We actually did. The offices that we bought, the 21, 14 of them had needed turning around. We turned around 3. We closed 6. We sold 5 below our basis. And that portfolio is actually producing a profit today. Very nominal profit, but it's alive and kicking for its investors. So, but that led me to a much brighter portion of my life, which is creating wealth on the EXP platform. Should you choose to be a leader at EXP, you'll learn that you're capable of building a sales organization of 500 agents in 3 to 5 years. I did it in less than 3, and there are many in this room that have done better. Where this gets really interesting is when you get 3 more people to do that with you. You become a leader of leaders. Okay? And I don't look at those people like Stephanie Peck, like Tom Daves. I don't look at them like somebody that's earning me $2,800 in revenue share. I look at them as a person that I'm building a $2.5 million business with. And I provide them the support that they deserve. Now, when you do that, you can create a 7-figure recurring income on this platform and $10 million in wealth. In my 40 years of building businesses, I have never seen a business opportunity that has a risk-reward profile like this does. You see, when I was doing those KW market centers, each and every one of them, I had to come up with $250,000. I had to sign a lease on a Class A building, be willing to lose money for up to 3 years. Then we would get up making about $250,000 a year. In those days, those market centers were worth about $1 million, 4 times trailing 12 months earnings. Now they only net about 2.5. The point is, the risk-reward proposition, it's not something I'd be willing to expose my family to today. Okay? But this $10 million asset, that 7-figure recurring income, is something you can have for $149 to join this company. Now, if you're going to attract the Tom Daves and Stephanie Packs of the world, one of the things that you need to know is that you're going to probably need to replace the amount of income that they're earning, their earned income, with recurring income for them to be fully satisfied. I know Robert Kiyosaki will tell you that if you can make enough recurring income to pay your fixed expenses, that someone's out of the rat race. But I have just found that it's this number that is more meaningful. When you can show them how to replace the earned income that they have managed to produce in some other way, but do it with recurring income, then you've got them. You've done the job as a leader of leaders. So there's a few leadership truths that I'd like you to be aware of in your journey. John Maxwell tells us that leadership is influence, that it is relational, not transactional. Stephen Covey would want you to know that you can be efficient with things, not with people. I would want you to know that you'll be judged by the average performance of the people that have chosen to follow you. I know a lot of us have got these multi-billion-dollar sales organizations. I want you to know that those people that chose to follow you and your leaders, they're going to judge you as a leader based on their circumstance. If they're doing 4 transactions a year, they're not going to think you're all the stuff. So keep that in mind. Now, when we're talking about your legacy, I want you to know that it will be determined by the success of your leaders. And your leaders' success will be determined by the prosperity of their followers. So I want you to have a few tools to take away to help you on your journey. If there is one book that will unlock the keys to the wealth kingdom, it is this one. Sounds like we've got a few fans. I've got a funny story about this book. Actually, the predecessor to this book was How the Best Get Better by Dan Sullivan. And he had a strategy in that book called Delegate Everything But Your Genius. And so, you know, me being the achiever, when he told us, okay, delegate everything but your genius, of course, that was a lot for me. And I embraced the concept, and it worked most of the time. Sometimes it didn't. I always felt like I should go back to Dan and say, hey, Dan, it would have been good if you would have told us, make sure you delegate to genius. Now that he's written this book with Dr. Benjamin Hardy, they did a much better job. In fact, they designed what's called an impact filter. It's a fantastic tool to help you select that right person. If John Maxwell were here today, he would want you to know that sponsorship is positional leadership. It's the lowest level of leadership that is available to you. And if you want to have influence with the people that choose to follow you, you're going to need permission. You're going to need to pour into them, whether it's for their personal production or for attraction. If you want to be a level 4 leader, you're going to need to teach them to be a leader. And if you want to reach the pinnacle of leadership, Level 5 leadership, you're going to need to teach leaders how to lead other leaders. The Go-Giver Leader, fantastic book. 3 things resonated with me from this book. First one, the title kind of gives it away. You want to be a giver. My model for that is Mr. Brent Gove. Yeah, absolutely. Second thing they tell us is you want to lead by example. Again, you don't need to eat frogs like Tom Daves in the morning for breakfast, but you want to lead in a way that if everyone emulated what you do, you'd be proud of the organization that you built. And then finally, they say, once you've had all this leadership success, you want to remain a humble servant. All of us know how brilliant that Glenn Sanford is. For those of us that have gotten to know him a little bit better, we also probably even appreciate more his humility. Use him as a model. Now I'm going to start wrapping up with a quote by Abraham Lincoln. Most men can handle adversity. To test a man's character, give him power. So when you have all of this success and power and influence, I want you to be able to answer 3 questions. Number 1, are you leading by example? Are you doing the work? Number 2, are you a humble servant? And number 3, are the people that have chosen to follow you better for having done so? If you can answer affirmative to those 3 things, then I would love to hear from you, because I have a podcast called Leader of Leaders, and we'd love to hear your story. Now I'm going to close up with a story about Rick Jiha. Yesterday, we gave away the Rick Jiha Award to Shelley Johnson, which is incredibly well-deserved. I want to take you back to the great financial crisis. I was at the Omni Hotel in Austin, Texas, and we had had a meal with 12 of us. Rick was one of those people. And before we finished the meal, Rick somehow tracked down the waiter and paid for the meal, which, by the way, was custom for him. And I happen to know a little bit about Rick's circumstances at that time. Perhaps not so different from mine. And so I stayed after that meal, and I said to Rick, man, you don't have to pick up every check. Okay? And he goes, I know, Don. It just felt like the right thing to do. So what I want to leave you with is I want you to think about being there for someone in their moment, like my wife was for me. And when it comes to giving, I want you to be like Rick and give until it hurts. Thank you.